Broadway Beat. Broadway. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway. Listen to the Broadway Beat. Broadway makes you wanna move your feet. Everybody's tapping into everything that's happening on Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, where we bring you the very best of what the New York theater scene has to offer. This week we're once again all over town. We'll drop by the first day of rehearsal to meet the cast of the new production of Hair, the American tribal love rock musical, which will open on Broadway at the Al Hirschfeld Theater on March 31st, following a smash hit run this past summer at Central Park's Delacorte Theater. We'll also stop by Sardi's, where international film star Daniel Radcliffe, who has just finished up his successful run in the revival of Peter Shaffer's EQUUS, got his very own caricature. But let's start things off high atop Rockefeller Center at the Rainbow Room for Manhattan Theater Club's annual Winter Gala, this year called An Intimate Night. It was hosted by Tony Award winner James Naughton and featured Alexander Gemignani, Renee Elise Goldsberry, and Leslie Kritzer.
And though the odds seem improbable, what do they know? For in romance, all true love needs is a chance, and maybe with the chance you will find you too like I'm overjoyed, overloved, over you.
Well, I'd say yes to MTC, whenever, because I just think they're just fantastic. And I just did a reading there for Kirsten Child's a new musical she's working on called Funked Up Fairy Tales. And it's such a, I just really had such a great time working there and, with them in terms of the kind of the invention of something. The creative process was really, really special there. So I thought it would be wonderful to do something that's so different, which is to stand on the top of the rock, you know what I mean, in a beautiful dress and sing here. I thought it would be really special, and I also love the idea of having a celebration like this after the New Year's.
Yeah, I'm hosting, I'm emceeing. I'm going to talk a little, tell a story something that happened in an MTC production I was in about 30-something years ago, and introduce everybody, and I'm going to sing a song.
What are you singing tonight? Because, of course, this is for afterwards.
Well, I'll give you a hint. After you sing the song, you go. Thank you very much. Do the chairs in your parlor seem empty and bare? Do you gaze at your doorstep and picture me there? Is your heart filled with pain? Shall I come back again? Tell me, dear, are you lonesome tonight? I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. Someone said the world's a stage and each must play a part. Fate had me playing in love with you as my sweetheart. Act one was when we met. I loved you at first glance. You spoke your lines so cleverly and never missed a cue. Then came Act two. Using the change, you acted strange, and why I've never known. Honey, you lied when you said you loved me, and I had no cause to doubt you. But I'd rather go on hearing your lies than go on living without you.
But alone is alone, not alive. Somebody crowd me with love. Somebody force me to care. Somebody let me come through. I'll always be there, as frightened as you, to help us survive. Being alive, being alive, being
The last time you and I spoke was during rehearsals for On the Town, and that was your first encores, right? So it was so early on during the process. What was the whole experience like for you doing it?
It was like, I mean, I can't describe it. It was so fast, but by the time it was over, I was like, what happened? We just started getting comfortable, and when the cast keeps in touch, because we're like, oh, we missed doing the show. It was just an amazing experience, and really challenged my skills as far as learning things really quickly in such a short amount of time, and creating some character, and working with someone like Andrea Martin especially was kind of like a dream come true. So it was wonderful.
And just doing that material, you had two of the most beautiful songs in that show. What was that like, blowing them out of the park night after night?
I mean, things like that, you just never know that you're going to be able to do. They come around, you audition, and then you get to do them, and it was just like a gift, to be able to sing that music and to watch the dancing. And that's kind of the era that I live in. So it's nice to be able to do a show like that. That's never really done anymore. So it was just great. I'm very happy that I got the chance to do it.
I had the fortunate chance to work for MTC, but every time I've auditioned or every time I've met them, they were really open-hearted people and seemed to really care about the future of New York theater, so that's a good thing to want to be a part of. Yeah, so, and also just come here and sing at the Rainbow Room is, a nice sort of goal, and to be asked to come here and do it has been a thrill.
Well, what are we going to hear tonight?
I'm singing a medley. I'm singing 3 songs. The first song is a medley, so I guess 4 songs. The old jazz standard, My Foolish Heart, mixed with a Martin Sexton tune called Diggin' Me. The second song is How Glory Goes from Floyd Collins. And the third song is Just in Time, a sort of up, jazzy, sort of fast, sort of Mel Torme-ish version of Just in Time.
Or has a shining truth been waiting there for all the questions everywhere? In a world of wondering, suddenly you know, and you will always know. Will my mama be there waiting for me, smiling like the way she does, holding out her arms? And she calls my name. She will hold me just the same. Only heaven knows how glory goes, what each of us was meant to be. In the starlight, that is what we are.
International film star Daniel Radcliffe, who is known to millions of fans as Harry Potter, has just finished up his successful run starring as Alan Strang in the revival of Peter Shaffer's psychological drama EQUUS, where he received glowing notices for his Broadway debut. Well, Sardi's honored Daniel with his very own caricature, and we were there to capture it.
Fantastic.
Terrific. Daniel, look this way.
I need that big good eye. I need that big bright blue eye. Oh, cool. Fantastic.
Terrific. Daniel, look this way.
I need that big good eye. I need that big bright blue eyes.
Daniel, this way.
Oh, yeah.
Right here, Daniel.
Guys, can we stop down here?
Daniel, right here now.
Congratulations. A portrait at Sardi's. How does it feel?
I've really arrived now. It was really kind of amazing, and I was I was having a conversation with Lorenzo last night before the show, and he was saying, oh yeah, I can't believe it. You know, we were joking with each other, and he said, yeah, I've done a bunch of shows in New York now, and not once have they asked me. And I said, yeah, I haven't even finished one show, and I'm already on the wall. You know, I've still got a week left of EQUUS, and they've already put me up there, so it's kind of amazing. So yeah,
You're about to finish the New York run here.
Yes.
You made a wonderful Broadway debut. Would you sum up the experience of what it was like working on the play and working with this cast in New York?
It's been amazing. The Broadway community is just truly incredible, and an amazing group of people is in every theatre I have found so far. And all the shows we've, sort of been hanging out with have all been amazing and welcoming and wonderful. And with the with our show in particular, the company were so welcoming of me and supportive and helped me. When I was in a city I didn't know anyone, and they became a real family to me, and a really amazing group of people.
You got to sing this year too. We saw you sing in Gypsy of the Year, and of course you raised so much money for Broadway Cares. What was that experience like, and would you like to come back in a musical?
I would absolutely love to do a musical at some point. It would be just fantastic. I've got a long way to go before I have the capability of doing that, both in singing and dancing and all of those things, but I plan to in the future hopefully do a musical. Yes, it would be amazing.
I know you're doing Harry Potter. Come back soon though to New York. Thank you very much. Daniel, good to see you, buddy. Thank you very much.
Well, it's one of Noel Coward's great plays, and he wrote a lot of very good plays. He wrote it in the midst of the war, World War II, when things were at their darkest. And he decided that the country, that's Britain, needed something to cheer it up during that terrible period of loss, etc. So he wrote this in about 3 weeks. And it turned out to be his most successful, most enjoyed play. It's a comedy. It's hilarious. I played the most outlandish character you can possibly imagine, and that makes it great fun, I mean, I get to do, well, the sky's the limit. You have to wait and see.
Now you're working with your director, Michael Blakemore, again. I know it's only the first week of rehearsals. Would you talk about what it was like working with him on Deuce and working with him again now for this show?
Well, on Deuce, of course, this was a very sedentary, because we just sat and talked for 2 hours. Not quite 2 hours, 90 minutes. That lovely Marion Seldes and I, we were like a twosome, and we just had a conversation. Whereas in this play, there's a very large cast, 7 people on stage, in and out. Things are happening, poltergeists are flying around the room. Everything is, it's really very funny, and we laugh our way through rehearsals. That's all I can tell you.
But let it be known here and now, I'm a Texan through and through, okay? A Texan who was born in Connecticut, went to boarding school in Massachusetts, and college at Yale and Harvard. I would have gone to the University of Texas for law school, but there was one issue. I was not accepted. But this is the book I'm probably going to be remembered for most. And within it is the story of the pet goat. The pet goat is the story of a girl's pet goat that eats everything in its path. The girl's parents want to give the goat away, but she defends it. In the end, the goat becomes a hero when it butts a car robber into submission. A mere 8 months into my presidency, on September 11th, I'm interrupted from reading one of the more fascinating stories I've ever come across, with news that the world as we know it has gone cuckoo. So stunned was I by the news of the day's events, combined with the power of the narrative of the pet goat, that I just sat there in silence for more than 7 minutes.
This past summer, the only place to be was the Delacorte Theater in Central Park, where you couldn't beg, borrow, or steal a seat to the Public Theater's production of Hair, the American tribal love rock musical. Well, now the show is transferring to Broadway's Al Hirschfeld Theater, where it will open on March 31st. We dropped by the first day of rehearsal to catch up with director Diane Paulus, creators James Rado and Galt McDermott, and the cast as they sang the opening number, Aquarius. Enjoy our look at Hair.
The
generation after generation, millions of people have fallen in love with this show since you wrote it in the late 60s. Why do you think that is, and why do you think the time is right now to bring this back to Broadway?
I think it's a very human show. It's about the human condition and in its flowering. Flower power, hey.
I think people are ready to feel something again, and Hair's about feeling.
Well, congratulations. Tell me what Diane did such a beautiful job directing this. What was it like working with her during that process?
Oh, it's great. She's very, very smart and very sensitive to the material. Yeah, very good.
Yes, it was. I worked with her for a very long period prior to our. Did a lot of prep work, and a soulmate. Really, she was absolutely super.
What I love about our journey is we started in 2007 with the cast, with this very same tribe, out in the park seeing what does this mean for audiences? Do people want to see this? Does this have currency now? And then the people started sleeping out and spending the night in the park, and you realize this show needs to be seen. And as a director, you're always looking for those moments where the audience is telling you they want something, and you can meet them, and together, audience and performers and director, you make something that's a third thing that's greater than either party. And I think that's what's so special about Hair, and it's so special about how it's functioning now. It actually has a deeper, greater meaning now in many ways, because people are either looking back on the 60s and trying to reflect on what it meant to be alive then. A lot of people remembering what it was to be alive in the 60s, and now having time to look back on it and say, it's time to make a change again.
You know, for me as an audience member, there are certain nights you go to the theater that the whole evening transforms you somewhere else. Not what you're just seeing on stage, but the whole entire feeling of the night. This took me back to why I first fell in love with theater. I adore theater. But there's a different feeling about this show, and you get them very rarely, and you did that with this show. And your casting is so flawless, too. And you began to talk before about the casting. You spent a long time of what the type of person you wanted to fill the for each character, didn't you?
That's right. It was so important to me that I had performers that felt like real people. Performers that weren't hardwired as an actor, so much so that they couldn't break out of that and make me believe that they were a real person with these beliefs. It was so much about performers that were not afraid of direct communication, not afraid to look you in the eye and reach out and say something to you and say it from the heart, and not have that layer of kind of protection. So I was really looking for people that just had that open heart and that kind of combination of quirky, raw life, like life force, which I think makes Hair what it is. And Hair actually allows the performers that freedom. It's not a show that says you must be like this, you must act this way. It's all about saying, share yourself, engage your heart, engage your mind, and communicate. So you have to have people who can do that with conviction. So that was a huge part of the journey for me.
Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. No more falsehood or derision. Golden living dreams of vision. Mystic crystal revelation. And the mind's true liberation. Aquarius.
Bubbles in my stomach that I use to have this explosion of energy. I just absolutely love that I have the opportunity to open. I mean, not many people get that opportunity to be by themselves. Done it. You know, I'm just very happy.
Well, talk about that song. That's such an iconic song. We've heard so many wonderful people over the years on the cast albums, and pop people record that song. Tell me what the song means to you.
The song means freedom and love, and it means everything that the whole show means to me, but it is a hard song to sing. So I think I'm focused on trying to make sure I have everything right a lot of the time, but I absolutely adore it. I adore it.
Claude Hooper Bukowski is a role that I've dreamt of playing since I first heard the score. I just love who he is, and he's deeply patriotic, but he doesn't want to be sentenced to a life that is not his own. And he's met this amazing group of people that I think it's very new to him, like, oh, these incredible beings that are completely free and completely expressive, but he grew up with parents who were, very regimented and as an actor, to be able to play that, being pulled between two worlds, is something that I can't wait to get my hands around.
I'd been auditioning quite a bit, and I was living in LA at the time, so when I got the call, I just threw everything into boxes and moved back to the city in a few days, and now here I am.
What was your last audition? What'd you say?
I've always been singing material from the show, so I've always been singing Sheila's songs, Easy to Be Hard, I Believe in Love, and Good Morning Starshine.
So tell me what this show means to you. I mean, this is one of these iconic musicals that touched everybody in the late 60s and every generation since then.
It's a huge thrill and honor to be in this piece because it has such a historical influence on our politics and on our theater. I think the show was a huge influence for Jonathan Larson, and Rent was my first job out of college, so I feel like it's full circle in that way for me personally. And it's also just incredible that we have the writers here as a resource to guide us and to be our support system and our teachers. And I'm thrilled to have that experience with them and to kind of build this character and this show together with this group of people from the ground up.
He's told us some amazing stories. No, literally, from the very beginning when we did the concert, Jim, told us stories about being a hippie in New York, basically, and about the be-ins in Central Park and naked people running around and burning their draft cards in the park, about going to Washington and speaking on the mall and getting tear gas, and all that stuff shows up in the show. If ever you have a question about the text or what this means, Jim's got about 4 stories from the 60s to help flesh it out. Yeah.
And just singing this great score. I mean, this is generational. I mean, this is iconic. We all had this album. We all burnt through different albums of this thing, I mean, why do you think that is?
It touches an emotional chord with people. I think when Hair was written, it was so groundbreaking, and there was so many people felt it, understood it, it spoke to them in a way that theater had never spoken to them before. It was the first rock musical. Every rock musical since has really, in a way, followed the lead or copied Hair, and it spoke to people. It was a part of kind of the fabric of their upbringing. So now when we perform it 40 years later, the people are singing along, they're having the emotional experience that they had back then. So it's just connected, I think, it seems like, to who they are and how they came to discover what they believed in and what their prejudices might or might not be. And so I just think it's kind of inextricable, the music and the story of Hair, inextricable from who people are.
So extraordinary. We're all so grateful to be here. It's an important movement. I feel like it's a movement more than, a show and a movement. And it's so incredible to have done it outside and have that environment and now kind of do hippie lockdown on the inside and focus the energy inward and continue to spread the love that we do. And we're so excited and so grateful to be a part of it.
Talk about the role that you play and that great number you get to sing.
Yes, I play Chrissy. I sing Frank Mills, about this boy that I found and lost, and now he's gone. And it's, I actually was talking to Jim about the role, and the song Frank Mills was an actual ad in the Village Voice, and they'd cut it and wrote music to it. So it's really special to feel like there is this real girl out there, and it was a real story, and maybe Frank's out there somewhere. Come find him, So it's really exciting, and I'm very happy to be doing it.
Wolf? Oh man, what to say about Wolf? He is one of the reasons I love playing him is that he just loves people, man, woman, nature, cars, trees, buildings. Like, he just loves everything around him, and that's a joy to play, especially night after night after night, because I get to tap into the fact that I do love people.
Now, did you get a chance to talk to Galt McDermott and James Rado during the rehearsal process at any time?
I did. I talked more to James than I did to Galt, but that was more a function of that James was around more during that process. It was fascinating to get his perspective on the way that Wolf has been played through the years. I had never seen the musical before auditioning, so I brought to the role, I would hope, a completely fresh perspective on it, and they seem to be pleased with it, so it's working well.
Well, what was so clear from the park was that outdoor setting, aside from being glorious and beautiful, unified the audience. It made the audience and the performers feel as if they were in the same world, because it was the same sky over your head. The moon above my head was the same moon above the actor's head. There was no division. And so I thought, if we put a park on stage at the Hirschfeld, that could look beautiful, but what it would do is it would divide the experience. I would be an audience sitting in a red plush velvet chair, looking at a bunch of actors in a set that's trying to be a park. So it was pretty clear that that could not be the way to go, because it would actually do exactly the opposite of what Hair wants you to do, which is unify. So that led us to this decision to just make it the theater. The idea is the hippies have gotten on a bus, they've left Central Park, and now they're camped out and living at the Hirschfeld Theater. So it's an indoor being. They've taken over the Hirschfeld. You might even see them outside the building when you're waiting in line to get your tickets, making appearances on the balcony, popping out of windows with their guitars and their daisies. They're living there. And the installation in theater will include the lobby, paint on the floors, bulbs changed. So the idea is it's the theater. It's a takeover of the theater. And that theater is extraordinary. There's a constellation on the ceiling, and the idea that we're going to use the entire theater as the set. It's not just what we're doing on stage. It's the balconies, the ceiling, the lights. It's the whole experience of that theater will be the set.
Go.
We're from the Tribe of Hair.
Come see us, Al Hirschfeld Theater.
Previews begin March 6th, and opening night is March 31st. Yes.
Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Hair.